So good morning everyone, good evening and good afternoon to viewers from all walks of life. This is Denzamos and I welcome you to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom and the channel of breaking empath free. If it's your first time here and narcissism resonates with you, I encourage you to join us, like the page, share with friends, subscribe. If you have always been with me, you are welcome back and I thank you for your love and support. For those of you who like the practice of grounding, you can always come out in the mornings. You have always noticed that I'm coming to the nature in the morning. It's one of my morning routines I like doing. Come out and ground. Make yourself grounded and make sure that you're in tune with yourself. Because if you're not grounded, you will find yourself all over the place, especially most of you who are dealing with this kind of toxic individuals, narcissism or whatever, psychopaths, sociopaths, that kind of toxic energy. You're supposed to come out and ground. And you can, in that process, it's a way of detoxing. It's like you're detoxing from that energy. It helps you even if you're still living with them, it can help you for a short period of time. You come back and ground, it helps you. So, but for most of us who have left those individuals, we do it on a daily basis. So for us, it's like a daily practice. It's a very good thing. You guys should try it out. If you want to pray, you can always pray. For those of you who want yoga, who want to meditate, whatever it is you can do to get grounded, that is your practice, and you should always get into that practice. You have all seen the title of this video, and I want to make it very clear. This video is spiritual. So for the most of you who know me, I've usually gone into the spiritual aspect of this narcissism. You know what I mean? So if you're out there, and you've been asking yourself a lot of questions, the same questions I used to ask myself as well, you may get some clarity in this video. And before I make this video, I want to let you know, for the most of you, you guys who are just living narcissists. Like I've seen many times on my page, there are some people, they left narcissists, they go into a new relationship, then they leave that one, they go into a new relationship. Now I want to make something very clear. I'm going to give you some advice. I will strongly advise you to take your time. Take your time. There's no rush, people. There's no rush. Take your time when you have left a narcissist. If you have identified you have been dealing with a narcissist, I want you to take your time. Get out there and heal. It is only through healing, going into a new relationship, it is not going to help you. Most of the times, 99% chances you're going to land into another narcissist because you are still on the vibration that you've had with the narcissist. So you have got to, first of all, take yourself out of that energy, detox, work on yourself, heal, and eventually you are ready now to start a new relationship. But when you do it again and again, like one after the other, you are going to find yourself in a very long loop of narcissists. And at the end of the day, you'll never know how things end with you, because you know these guys, it doesn't take them a lot of time to trauma bond you and confuse you and get you into another mess. So that is just a piece of advice. But at the end of the day, the decision is up to you. So you can always make your decision according to your situation. But it's just an advice that I've experienced along my journey, and I share it with you because it is also going to be helpful to you. Now, the reason why I've given you that piece of advice is because I want to share with you a story that I experienced. It took me a very long time to think about this. I've usually thought about this, and it took me a very long time to share this. I've usually been asking God if I need to share this, and eventually last night I got the answers I was looking for. That is why I came out here to share with you exactly, people, what you are dealing with. Now, when I left my ex-narcissist, I landed into another relationship with another narcissist. Most of you have heard me talking about this, another greater narcissist. This narcissist came in, I did not see this coming in the beginning. I didn't see this coming. So this narcissist came in, and somewhere in the middle of this entanglement, somewhere in the middle there, it could have been like 2 or 3, maybe 4 weeks or something like that, or even 5 weeks, something like that. I noticed very weird patterns with this individual. I noticed these patterns that I had usually seen with the previous narc I'd already been engaged. I had already seen these kind of things, but I was thinking, okay, so what's going on here? I was trying to get more clarity. I stayed in there just to get more clarity, to understand what was going on. So eventually, one thing I remember particularly in the last nights, in some of the last days, or even the last nights of that entanglement, I remember having very, very seriously bad dreams. Very, very, very extreme. Actually, I can call them nightmares. These were dreams none of you want to experience. Recently, I did a video about the dreams. And I told you that I've been seeing a lot of these dreams when I was with the greater narcissist, much more worse dreams that even I cannot talk about on camera. And usually when I talked about these dreams in the morning, because in those days, remember in those days I had awakened, but I was still going through the detoxing process to still trying to add the pieces together to understand what was going on. So I would ask the NAC in the morning, what is going on? I dreamt about something yesterday. The nurses will, maybe it's just a normal dream like anything else. That thing happened again the next day, a different one, but even a worse one. It happened the third day, it happened the fourth day. And for some reason, I would wake up in the morning and I was completely drained. Wake up in the morning. Usually when I wake up in the morning, I'm very energetic. You have a lot of energy because you have got a good rest. You have a lot of energy. You can do things. You can go anywhere. But for some reason, in that entanglement, I would wake up in the morning and I would find myself very extremely drained, whereby I wouldn't even find myself, even moving was a problem. And I was thinking in my mind, what exactly is going on? Why do I feel extremely drained in the morning? I would not really get it, people, you know what I mean? And so definitely, the NAC could just brush off this incident. Oh, that's just another dream, so you don't need to worry about it. But in my consciousness, behind my mind, I knew there was something more. So most of the time, what I used to do when I found myself extremely drained in the mornings, I would go out in the park because there's a certain park somewhere. So I would go out. I would make sure that I would do some exercises, running or something like that, and at the end of the day, I would get my energy back. But for some reason, my energy was always it's like I was losing my energy in the mornings. Usually in the mornings, I noticed this pattern was going on in the mornings. After the nightmares, I would experience a very big loss of energy in the morning. I would be completely weak and unable to do anything. So this thing went on for a couple of days. But eventually, these patterns kept going on and on. And I was thinking there's something wrong with this individual. I would not really put a finger where it was, but I was starting to see some of those things I've seen before. And I was thinking there's something extraordinary with this individual that actually I might have seen some of these things before, but even this time they were manifesting worse than those that I had experienced before. So what happened? I couldn't take this anymore because I noticed, first of all, there was this nightmares going on in the night. Every night I went to sleep, there was this nightmare that was going on, unexplainable ones. And secondly, the morning, it was very difficult for me to get up because I would find myself like completely, I do not have even a single pinch of energy. Everything was gone. So I decided to terminate this entanglement. It didn't take long. That entanglement took a couple of, it didn't take more than 3 months, I think, 4 months or something like that. It didn't take more than that. So that entanglement was very short. And then I decided that, okay, so it's time for me to terminate this. My consciousness told me you have got to terminate this because there is something really, really mysterious happening behind the scenes. And you need to terminate this. Step out of it, first of all. And first of all, get the clear picture what is going on. Because you see, the easiest way to know that you're in toxicity, the thing that I've advised people mostly, I've advised them to step out of that entanglement first. And then see these things from the outside, because when you're inside, you cannot see this because you're blinded by what is going on. But when you step out of it, that is when you're going to start to see these individuals exposing themselves. For some reason, they cannot handle things the way we do it, so they are going to actually expose themselves. When I stepped out of that entanglement, guys, I can guarantee you that is when the mask slipped. The mask slipped straight away. I knew I was dealing with the NAC. And that's when I decided to take extra precautions to actually even protect myself more. So I started to do the blocking method. I blocked all the contacts and everything, and I went no contact. So I've never contacted that NAC from that period. Until now, I've never contacted the NAC. Now, there is something very mysterious still that happened when I stepped out of that. Like I've said, I've stepped out of it to be able to get a clear picture of what was going on. So when I stepped out of that entanglement, I went back home. So I was sitting there by myself and I was thinking, I was introspecting and contemplating on things, looking back on things and seeing what was going on with this situation, what exactly was happening. So when I discovered that actually there was some toxic patterns of this individual that I had already seen before, what I did one particular evening, I prayed. I prayed when I was going to sleep. I prayed that God should show me what exactly is happening. What is happening? I wanted a sign. I wanted a sign from God for me to confirm exactly this thing was toxic and this was not meant for me. So I asked for a sign from God. I prayed before that night. I prayed before I went to sleep, and behold, I went to sleep. And in that dream, I dreamt. I had a very long dream. So in that dream, what happened is we was in the very big building. This was like a conference hall. So that building was made of glass windows. It had glass windows all over it. But behind the building, there was a small swimming pool. Now, there was people moving up and down in that building. Now, in that building, I was standing inside the building. So it's like people were shouting, screaming because there was a storm outside the building. People were screaming, "Oh, there's a storm!" And then it's like the trees were all over, like shaking all over the place. So it's like a lot of wind, trees, and everything. So there was a storm outside of the building. So I had to come closer to see what was going on behind the building. When I came closer to the window, remember it was a glass window, so you could see everything what was going on outside. I was standing in. I was exactly standing in that place where I was where the pool was located. That is in front of me, outside of the building, but in front of the building, outside of the building, in front of me. I was standing on the window and looking to the pool. Now, when I looked towards the pool, I saw a very big, giant, a bluish footstep. It was a footstep. It was just a footstep, but that footstep, it's like it was blue in color. It was actually standing in the pool. It had almost taken up the whole of the whole perimeter of the pool, and it was bluish, but you could not see actually the person who was. It was like a very big giant who had put his feet in the pool, but you couldn't see the whole person. Of course, definitely you couldn't see the whole person. And people are like, what is going on here? It's like it looked as if other people would not see that footstep in the pool. Other people would not see it, but when I was standing on the window, I was the only one who actually would see that. And what happened is that I was trying to get the whole picture. I was still trying to look, and then eventually I started to see this bluish big giant image emerge from it was from the footstep. Started to emerge a very huge image of a giant, very, very huge one. I cannot explain to you because it looked like I had to look like up to see the head of the giant. It was like the foot was belonging to that giant. It was a bluish big giant in the pool. Now I came to I was a bit shocked. For me, when I saw that, it's like I got a little bit excited. It's like instead of getting shocked, I got more excited because this was something I'd never seen before. So I was very, very, very interested in these things. So I started to look with. So besides me, I was calling the knock. I was calling the knock. That knock I'm talking about now. That's why I've told you guys to listen very carefully in this video. That knock, I called the knock. I called her, come and look at this giant. There's a very big, beautiful giant standing in the pool. Come and have a look at this. So the knock came running. When the knock came running, she held me on the right hand, and she was trying to look, and she couldn't see this. She couldn't see the giant. I saw look very close. There's a giant standing in that pool. Look. There's a very big bluish giant. I was very, very excited to see this. But the Nak could not see this. I tried very hard to show the Nak could not see the giant. And all of a sudden, what I saw, it is like on the bottom of the windows, there was it is like the window was not, the glasses were not going all the way to the floor. So there was a little bit, a little space between the floor, and the glasses. There was still a little space. I think it's like some kind of ventilation or something like that. So all I saw was that the giant bent over. And slid a small piece of paper, and it's like the giant was trying to give me a small piece of paper. Now, that small piece of paper was folded, and I bent over to pick that piece of paper. I told the Nak that actually this giant is giving me something, I had to, so I left the Nak for a bit, and I bent over to take the piece of paper. Now, when I took that piece of paper, no, actually, no, before even I took that piece of paper, when I was trying to take because it's like the piece of paper was halfway under the glass. It was like halfway. The other hand was the giant, and this hand I was trying to come and take that piece of paper. And for some reason, the Nak came because the Nak wanted to see. What are you picking from? Because the Nak couldn't see anything. The Nak that time in the dream, they couldn't see what was going on. It was only me who was seeing the whole picture, what was happening. But I even tried to show her. She wouldn't see anything. Then she saw me bending and picking up something. Now, when I was trying to pull the piece of paper from the giant held the piece of paper, didn't want to give the piece of paper to me because the giant noticed that actually the Nak was watching what I was doing. You know what I mean? So the Nak was watching what I was doing. And because of that, the giant got very pissed and angry and took the piece of paper back with him. He took the piece of paper and started walking away. I told the giant, please return that piece of paper. Please return it. And all of a sudden, I just see the giant going and just all of a sudden disappearing out of thin air. Just like that. And then I told the Nak that, oh my God, there was giving this giant was giving me some instructions. But when the giant saw me calling you, because I called the Nak in the dream, I called her to come and see because the giant was giving me this piece of paper. When I called the Nak to come and see what was going on, the giant just pulled the piece of paper and went away. Eventually, I woke up, and that dream, believe me, it took me a lot of days. Because remember, I asked for a sign, and I was trying to understand the next morning what was this dream saying to me. Now, in my interpretation of this dream was telling me that you are dealing with somebody who is, you are dealing with a toxic individual, and in whichever way, whatever it is we have got to offer to you, you cannot let that individual see what we have got to offer for you. So for me, that was my interpretation, and I later on understood that actually that was the message in the whole dream. It was a dream. It was something that was meant only for me. It was a message. It could have been information or even guidance that was strictly meant for me. Nobody else was supposed to see it, to see that information. Not even the NAC. The NAC was with me in that time. So I interpreted that actually God was trying to reveal to me some things, some messages, something like that. But at the end of the day, God noticed that I was with this individual, that he did not want me to share that information with that individual, because that person was very interested to see what was on that paper. But when they noticed that somebody else was with me, the giant took the paper and moved away. Now, that was part of the dream, and that was my interpretation of that dream. It took me 3 days to interpret this dream fully, to understand what it was all about, and I got the full interpretation. It was just me who was with the toxic person. So whatever it is, whatever blessing, whatever messages was coming from the universe, from God, or whatever, the angels, that message, it was not supposed to be shared with other people. So it is like the interpretation was, do not share this message with other people. You know what I mean? It was a message, what was meant for me. So basically, that is what confirmed to me. In that dream, I got the confirmation that this person I was dealing with was toxic. I decided to completely block everything. Even sometimes I even got very irritated after that dream, and I strictly blocked everything. I never contacted that individual from that time ever again. Now, recently, we are coming to the next dream now that gave me the confirmation of exactly what, because like I've said, I always look for the truth. I always look for confirmation. Confirmation will come in so many ways. It will come in downloads through people. It may come as a vision, as a dream, or whatever. But as well, when you ask for confirmation, God will give you the confirmation of exactly what is going on. Recently, that was yesterday, before I went to sleep, I felt very uneasy. There was a very strong, uncomfortable feeling I was having. You know, it's already hot because there's a lot of heat going on. So I was feeling very uncomfortable in that time. And I was wondering what is going on exactly. I was feeling uneasy and uncomfortable. It's like I would feel this frequency. There was an energy around me that I wouldn't really figure out what was going on. I had to like really come to terms with what was going on, but it was very difficult because I could not get sleep. Believe me, I struggled to sleep, but eventually I went to sleep. But I remember before going to sleep, I prayed like I always do. I meditated and I went to sleep, because I always do prayers to protect myself during sleep. Always I protect myself, whether I'm sleeping, whether I'm walking, whether I'm going to eat, anything I do, I always pray to protect myself. So what happened in that time is I went to sleep. Now in the dream, what I had last night, eventually I found myself in bed with that knack that I left, actually the one I told you, the greater knack, the greater narcissist. I found myself in bed with that knack. But on the side, there was another individual somewhere on the side who was actually watching things from a distance. You know what I mean? It's like that individual was watching what we were doing in the bed. We were not having anything or making love or sex or whatever, but we're just lying down in the bed. But it's like that knack was holding me, and I felt I felt that I didn't want to be with that individual. So I was trying to take myself away from the individual, but it's like it was impossible. I would just not separate myself from the individual. I was trying to go, say the individual was saying, no, you should come back. I was trying to leave. They were saying, no, you should come. So it's like there was this pull and push. I'm trying to leave, but I couldn't. For some reason, I couldn't, because there was this energetic pull that was refusing to let me go out of the bed, because I did not want to sleep with that individual. Eventually, I noticed that this individual, that same individual, the knack I'm talking about, the knack, I noticed that she had very long nails, very, very long nails, I think somewhere up there, like towards that side. And she was holding me by the neck, somewhere behind the back of my neck. And it's like whenever I would try to leave, I would feel these fingernails like tapping, like piercing through my skin. And I would not like the more I would drag myself away, it's like the more pain I would feel. So I found myself very difficult, I found myself, it was very hard for me to actually completely detach from this individual. So what happened is that I eventually, so during this scuffle took a couple of minutes. I couldn't leave, so this scuffle might have taken maybe 2 or 3 minutes. I don't remember. So what happened is, eventually that individual dragged me towards her and whispered in my ears and asked me, "Do you know who I am?" You know. So the individual asked me, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "No, I don't know who you are." And the spirit, that individual said, "The spirit of Jezebel." Believe me, when I heard that word, the spirit of Jezebel, that is when I knew this individual was actually a witch. The only thing I did, I screamed the word Jesus. All of a sudden, I screamed the word Jesus. And believe me, people, I can guarantee you, the very moment I screamed the word Jesus, that individual started shaking terribly, like it's like she had been attacked from on spirit level. The individual started shaking terribly, shaking vigorously, and eventually released me, and that is when I actually woke up. So when I woke up, eventually I prayed very hard because I knew this dream, what it was all about, and that's the confirmation that I had, that all this energy I was feeling that previous night, it was actually coming from that individual. So basically, what I want to say in this video, guys, empaths, most of you who are awakened, you are going to have a lot of these kind of dreams coming in, and it's not going to happen often, but you're going to find yourself every now and then having these kind of dreams. So you're supposed to know something what they call spiritual attacks. So those individuals you have left, remember, you have left very, very toxic individual, and those individuals sometimes, whether they are thinking about you, whether they are doing something to you, because like I've said, most of those individuals, they are involved in so many different kind of things. They may be involved in spells, witchcraft, magic, and all these kind of things. So you may find yourself every now and then like spiritually attacked. Even sometimes you may not know it, but you may find yourself actually most of the time spiritually attacked. So those spiritual attacks will come in so many shapes and form. You may feel sometimes a general uneasiness. So you may find yourself like feeling uneasy all the day. You don't have energy. It's like you're trying to do something. You cannot get yourself to do something. Sometimes you're having trouble to sleep. Sometimes you find yourself thinking about that individual over and over again. It's like that individual is still in your consciousness. You cannot let that individual get out of the, like, release that individual from your consciousness. You are all the time thinking about them. So you are going to actually have a lot of these attacks every now and then. You're just supposed to be conscious about it. And should you feel like actually you're having an uneasy feeling during the day, you're feeling weak, or sometimes you're feeling unenergetic, it's like you cannot move yourself from point A to point B, you cannot get a task done, or sometimes you cannot get yourself out of bed, you're supposed to know those individuals, most of the cases, they may keep on attacking you. Even sometimes they don't know that they're doing it. But like I said, the more a person thinks about you, especially if those individuals, like the narcissists, we're talking about the narcissists, those individuals send a certain wave of energy towards you. So normally that wave of energy, it may actually start to influence you in some kind of a way. It may start to influence you even that you don't know it. So you're supposed to be aware of it. But in this video, I just wanted to let you know that I had the confirmation in the dream that actually for all these periods of time, these individuals, it was a confirmation. I always knew it from the behind my consciousness. I always knew it, that it was always the spirit of Jezebel, but I just needed a confirmation, and that confirmation came to me last night in the dream. The individual actually confirmed to me herself that this was the spirit of Jezebel. So what you need to understand, people, these individuals, they are influenced. I've always mentioned it in my videos. I'm the one of the guys who has always come out and told you guys, when you have discovered you're dealing with a narcissist, you are supposed to disengage ASAP. There is no excuse about that. You are supposed to look beyond the veil. Don't look at the individual. Don't look at the individual themselves because maybe he's your boss or he's your father or whatever, mother or whatever. Just look behind the influence, because there is a much more bigger influence what is making them do all those kind of things that they're doing to people. So you should always be you should always know that there's a very bigger influence behind these individuals. Be aware of this. Know this, and when you know, if you have identified in any way, I've always mentioned it in my videos, guys. I've said it again and again. If you have identified you are dealing with a narcissist, it may be a narcissist, psychopath, I don't know, these other bipolar, whatever, sociopath or whatever. You have identified you are dealing with abuse, you are dealing with toxicity, you are dealing with all this kind of, they call them mental disorders. But I don't want to go that journey, because I know what this thing is all about. So I don't want to confuse myself that these individuals, they're having some kind of a mental disorder or whatever. I don't want to confuse myself, because I know what I've been dealing with. If you have identified those individuals, it does not matter whether you go to therapy, you go to psychologists, you go to all these kind of individuals to help you. The first thing they're going to tell you, get out of there. The very first thing they're going to tell you, they may give you a couple of ideas to, yes, to manage the situation, because there's always some ways that you can manage living with them. But guys, I can guarantee you, when you're dealing with these kind of situations, you are supposed to take your energy out of it immediately, as soon as you can, ASAP. I've always mentioned it. I will always say it again, and I've always appealed to people. You have left one, heal first, understand what you've been dealing with, work on yourself before you get into a new one. The new one is going to be healthy, because it is going to attract exactly that level of energy and frequency that you were at that moment. So in this video, that's all I wanted to say, guys. I wanted to share with you my dream of how the spirit of Jezebel manifested themselves and even confirmed themselves in my dream, during my dream. And I want to share this message to you guys. You have got to know these individuals. There is much more, like I've always said, much more influence behind what they are doing and behind what is it. So you are supposed to always understand there's something behind the veil. You know what I mean? So for those of you who have awakened, you have seen it, you have seen the way those things manifested, whatever it is. When you guys awakened, you might have seen the way they manifested during the awakening period, and maybe that's what even caused the awakening in the first place. But whatever it is, that is what you're dealing with. And that being said, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below about this video. Much love and blessings. I'll catch you soon, and I'll talk to you soon. Nezemo signing out.